I feel the Spirit moving in me. I feel the Spirit moving in me.
Once a monk was passing through the capital city of a famous king. While walking, he saw a single coin in the road, and he picked it up. And he was satisfied with his simple living and had no use for the coin. So he thought that he would donate it to someone who needed it. He strolled around the cities throughout the day, asking people to take the coin, but no one needed it, no one took it. So the next day, the king came by with his troops, and they're on the way to war. And the king stopped for the monk and said, "Monk, can you help me? Please, I'm going to war to win another city. So would you bless me so that I can expand my territory and increase my land and my treasures?" After thinking a while, the monk took out the coin and gave it to the king. The king was confused and annoyed and angry. And he asked the monk, "Why are you giving this coin to me? What is the meaning of this coin?" The monk said, "Oh, great king, I found this coin yesterday while strolling around the town. And I tried to give it away, but no one would take it. So I decided to donate it to someone who needs it." And it seemed that everyone was living a happy life. And then you come to me today, and you say that you desire still more riches, even though you have many. And you're not satisfied with what you have. So I felt it was you who needed this coin. The king was ashamed to hear this from the monk. And finally, he gave up the idea of going to war. The king is like us. He believes that he can find his joy outside of himself. The king believes that his joy comes from accumulating more territory, more money, more power, more things. And he demonstrates to us the battle that we can have going on inside of ourselves if we strive for our happiness or for our joy outside of ourselves. Last Thursday, I went to visit Alan Reed in the hospital. And it's really the first time that I was able to sit down with him and really talk about his life. And he told me that when he lived in Illinois, that he had a small farm. And on his farm, he raised cattle. And from the dung from the cattle, he grew organic vegetables and fruits. And he said that on that 3-acre property that he had, he built a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-garage house that cost him $13,000 to build in 1965. And he said that he loved this part of his life. This was like the most exciting time for him to raise cattle and grow vegetables. And he said that one time his daughter asked him, after he purchased a calf, what he was going to name the calf. And he said, "Hamburger." Right? Because he didn't want to get attached to the cow, because he knew it was going, at some point it's going to be hamburger. Right? And he was working at Ford Motor Company at the time, and he would take, he would get 500 pounds of meat from a cow, and he would take it and sell it to the people at the Ford Motor Company that he worked with. Wow. And when I met with him, I felt so invigorated and so uplifted by being with him. And to me, it was about sharing with him, about being, getting to know him on a deeper level, connecting with him. And two, as being his minister, I felt like I was serving him. And these things I walked out of there just feeling so joyful that I got to do what I get to do as part of my spiritual path, to do something that brings me spiritual joy. And that I could be in service to him, which fulfills my heart and is a lot of what I love about having this amazing job that I have. So our affirmation today is, today, my heart overflows with joy as I open my eyes to the wonders that surround me. Say that with me. Today, my heart overflows with joy as I open my eyes to the wonders that surround me. So, when was the last time you felt really happy or felt really joyful? Can you remember that time? What that feels like? And were you feeling, in that memory that comes to you, were you feeling happiness or were you feeling joy? I think it's necessary to understand the difference between the two of them. Sometimes we think that they're the same, but they're really quite different. They're both really positive emotions that we love to feel. They're emotions that rush through us as an optimistic surge of energy that moves through us when we feel that, right? Don't you feel that way when you're happy or when you're joyful? And often, happiness can lead to joy, but they're really quite different. So I think it's important for us to distinguish between the two of them so we can recognize which one we're feeling and look at its value and the purpose of it. So this talk, I'll be talking about happiness and joy, but the purpose really is for us to get in touch with our spiritual joy, with that essence of joy within us. And it may seem like I am sort of discounting happiness when I talk today, but I'm not really doing that. I'm just comparing the two so you can see the difference between them. So happiness is if-then thinking. If I get this, if I have this, then I feel happy, right? Happiness tends to be has a shorter life than joy does. If I get some money today, then I'll be happy. If I don't get money today, then I'll be sad. So happiness is if-then consciousness. Happiness comes from the outside, from things that happen out here, where joy comes from things that happen in here. Happiness is usually caused by an event and is short term. Joy is an ongoing, general, euphoric feeling that we have. It's a state of being, and it usually lasts longer than happiness. And joy is not always about ourselves. When we're feeling joyful, it has more to do with than just with me. Whereas when we're happy, who is it usually about? It's about you, yes. It's about us, right? It's about me. When we're happy, I'm happy because I'm happy. We can be joyful because we're sharing that joy with other people. While happiness comes from the outside, things of joy come from the inside. How many people have read this book? I know, Joy, you have. The Book of Joy. Of course you would read the Book of Joy. Lasting Happiness in a Changing World. This book is by the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu. I love this book. I really recommend this book. If you can get it on the audio version of it, it's really fun to listen to because this book is about time that these two amazing characters spent together, and a lot of it is their dialogue, and it's so rich with spiritual truth. It's like, I had this in my car it's a thick book, so I listened to it for weeks, and it's absolutely amazing. So this is what the Dalai Lama says about happiness and joy. Actually, he's talking about joy. He says, joy is the reward, the reality of seeking to give joy to others. When you show compassion, when you show caring, when you show love to others, when you do things for others, you emit a feeling that you can't experience in any other way. You can't buy it with money. You can be the richest person on earth, but if you care only about yourself, I bet my bottom dollar, you will not be happy and joyful. But when you are caring, when you are compassionate, and more concerned about the welfare of others than your own, you suddenly feel a warm glow in your heart because you have, in fact, wiped the tears away from someone else. Joy is I have thinking. It's appreciating what you have, what I have, what we have right here in this moment. Don't have to go looking for it. Happiness comes from searching for something. Joy comes from just being in the moment and celebrating this moment right now. Joy is I have thinking. Joy is the welling up of loving energy that moves through our spirit, through our bodies, through our minds. And I think it's the connection to God, the connection to the God that's in everything within ourselves. When we are experiencing joy, is because we are one with that allness of love that's in the universe. Joy can be found in things like nature, meaningful memories, reflecting on things that have happened to us in the past. Joy can be found in relationships with people we love. Joy can be found in learning something new. You know that feeling, that excitement that you get when you learn something new and you feel joyful? It's the presence of God, really, the presence of Spirit coming alive within you. Joy can be found in gratitude. Joy can be found in helping someone else. Joy can be found in being a part of something that's larger than yourself. I love that. Because joy really comes as a part of service, of opening our heart and mind and our soul to be present for others. Joy can be a tear-jerking belly laugh. I love that. This story made me laugh. One of my favorite books is Who Ordered This Truckload of Dung? It's kind of appropriate with today's theme, but I love this book. It's a book of stories by Ajahn Brahm, and he tells these stories of things that he's experienced and come up with. He is a revered spiritual guide and an abbot of one of the largest monasteries in the southern hemisphere. And he tells this story. When I was being driven along a multi-lane highway in Perth some years ago, some young men in an old car spotted me and began to jeer at me through their car's open window. Hey, Baldy. Hey, you old skinhead. Hey, you Baldy. Hey, Baldy. And he says, they tried to wind me up. And so I wound my window down and shouted back, get your hair cut, you bunch of girls. Well, perhaps I shouldn't have done that, but simply encourage the young men. The young rowdies steered their vehicle alongside mine, pulled out a magazine, and with mouths wide open, began gesticulating wildly to get me to look at the pictures in the magazine. It was a copy of Playboy. Now, I laughed at the irreverent sense of humor. I would have done the same when I was their age, out with my buddies. After seeing me laugh, they drove off. I decided that laughing at abuse was a better alternative than prudish embarrassment. Oh, and did I look at the pictures in the Playboy magazine? Of course not. I'm a well-behaved celibate monk. So how did I know it was a copy of Playboy? My driver told me. And that's the story I'm sticking to. So how do we awaken to our spiritual joy? And the first thing we can do is to set an intention to be joyful. Rather than chasing happiness, decide that now I'm going to be joyful. I'm going to look for things in my life, in the world, that are creating joy for me right now. Being joyful, finding joy isn't a thing. It's a feeling that we get when we serve. The next thing we can do is to stop trying to fill a need. Don't be using if-then thinking. Rather, just be in the moment and discover what it is that you can celebrate, what you can acknowledge, what you can experience that's right here, right now. And that's the third thing we can do, is just to appreciate the beauty of the moment, to have gratitude for the blessings in your life, to really think about them, embrace them, embody them, experience the feeling that they bring you. After I saw Alan, and as I'm driving home, I'm just like, wow, I feel so joyful, the joy that being with him and serving him and loving him and connecting with him brought me. That's where the joy is. And affirmations help too. Today, my heart overflows with joy as I open my eyes to the wonders that surround me. And the fourth thing that we can do to awaken to our spiritual joy is to do things that empower you to tap into your higher self, to do the things that bring you the most joy, to serve others, to be present, to find the beauty in the moment, to connect with people, to be a part of something that's larger than yourself. We've talked a lot about this recently because so much of our spiritual experience and how we've gotten this far on the path is about looking at what can I do for myself to become more spiritual. Right? That's kind of the basic teaching in New Thought, right? How can I change my thinking? How can I change my beliefs so that I can be more present? And the second part of that is about taking that into the world and taking the focus off of ourselves and to look at what can I bring into the world? What can I contribute that's going to lift others up, that's going to help others connect with the essence and the truth of who they are, with that spirit within. And this can happen with meditation. You know, I don't ask if you meditate or not, but think about it if you do or you don't. The number one benefit of meditation is that it helps us to access our personal truth, our spiritual truth, right? And the beauty of that is that it bleeds into everything we do. Meditation is the most powerful tool that we can use to connect with our higher self and just to listen. And, if you don't like to meditate, then spend time in reflection and just ask yourself, what is it that I need to know? How is it that I need to be right now? What is it that I can do to serve the world? What is it that I can do to serve my community? What is it I can do to serve my ministry? What is it that the presence of God within me? I like this even better because it's not so much a me ego thing, right? This isn't about ego, but to say, okay, Spirit within me. What does the Spirit within me want to do? And the beauty is it's always going to be something that you love. Spirit will not impress upon us to do anything that isn't already our heart's desire, right? Because that is Spirit. And meditation, yoga, doing something creative, wow, that's where we really connect with Spirit, when we let ourselves go and be in the creative moment. What does Spirit want to create through you that's going to serve people? I love what Rumi said. He said, when you do things from your soul, you feel a river moving in you, a joy. And that's the presence of Spirit. That's an uplifting energy. Anybody ever felt that? Huh? There's nothing like it, is there? It's amazing. And I believe that's what we're here to experience and express. And I like to think that that's where the consciousness of the world is headed. That's what I want to campaign for and to be a part of, don't you? One trait of a joyful person is the ability to see beyond himself or herself, to see beyond our personal circumstances. And this happens as we realize that the eternal is more important than the temporary. And we make choices that reflect a hope for the future. That we make choices connected to that presence within us that desires a world filled with love and peace and joy and happiness. And this is the time. This is the time to be grateful that we have this moment to experience together. To realize that we have this moment to experience the presence of Spirit, which is the truth of who you are. And to be so connected to that presence that it goes forward as us, as this light in everything that we do. Once upon a time in China, there lived 3 old monks who never revealed their names to anyone. But in China, they're known as the 3 laughing monks. They always stayed together. They did nothing but laugh. They traveled to every village and city spreading the joy of laughter. They left one village and they moved to the next village. And in the second village that they were in, they stood in the center of the city. And they stood there and they just looked at each other and they just laughed. And their laugh was so infectious that soon everybody in the whole city was laughing. Their teachings were simple. They taught that life is simply a great opportunity to laugh. I love that. It's almost like they discovered some kind of cosmic joke. So many years passed, and on one fine day, one of the monks died. Everyone was shocked and sad. They came to see the reaction of the other two monks. But to their surprise, the monks were not crying or mourning. Instead, they were laughing even harder. One person from the crowd came forward and asked one of the monks why he wasn't crying for his deceased friend. And the monk responded, because yesterday, on the way to your village, he proposed a bet on who of us will beat the other two and die first. And now he won, the old rogue. And he had even prepared a testament because he knew he was going to die. Now, according to Chinese tradition, the dead body must be washed and dressed in clean clothes before putting it on the funeral fire. But the old monks advised the people to leave his clothes on him because that monk was never filthy. His testament stated, I never allowed the filth of this world to reach through my laughter. Soon everything was arranged, and the ritual started, and the fire started to move up his clothes. And then, to everybody's astonishment, there was a huge amount of fireworks with all different colors in the sky. And the people in the city all joined the two monks, and they started to laugh with them. Maybe this is the reason that we're here on this earth, to experience the joy, the love, to laugh, and to be present right now. Today, say this with me. Today, my heart overflows with joy as I open my eyes to the wonders that surround me. I invite you to close your eyes and take a deep breath. Breathing in and breathing out. And see if you can tap into that joyful place within you. Perhaps these three monks live in you. And that there's a part of you that is feeling this joy. This is the essence of your spirit. This is the essence of who you are. Just let it rise a little bit. Imagine that you can even turn up the volume of this joy. Imagine that these three monks are the essence of a spirit within you, the essence of God, the essence of your higher self. Bubbling up with the joy of life. Imagine as this joy arises, the worries disappear. More joy, less worries, more joy, more happiness, more peace, more love, mo better, as Alan would say. Breathing in, breathing out. And let's just sit for a moment and rest in this joy together. Breathing in and breathing out. Holding on to this joy. And in a few moments, we'll bring our awareness back into this moment. And I invite you to bring that joy with you. Let this joy be the foundation upon which your consciousness is in this moment. Breathing in and breathing out. And lightly bring your awareness back to this moment and open your eyes when you're ready. And don't worry. Be happy. Thank you, loving Spirit, for these gifts that have come to us in love. We hold them, we bless them. We give thanks for them and know that they're moving through this ministry out into the world. And we behold a world filled with love, with light, with joy, and with peace. And so it is. Thank you. Namaste. Thank you. All right, let's see. Well, some flowers magically showed up here. And I think that they came from Anna Maria, right? Yes. And did you want to dedicate from 4 to 5:30? Linda is facilitating this class, and I understand it's exciting, and the Course in Miracles are such a beautiful truth that are in harmony with the teachings of unity. So you can drop into this class, show up on Monday at 4 o'clock, and you will be inspired. And speaking of inspiration, Kathleen Keelan's been Kathleen, she should be here next week. And also next Sunday, back by popular demand, I've been asked to do a membership class for people who after the service next Sunday. Sometimes people ask me, well, why would I want to become a member of Unity on Maui? And my thought is, it's about making a public statement of your own commitment and intention to your own spiritual path. And it's also a beautiful way to serve this community, and that you're making a commitment to serving this community. So if you're interested, join us next Sunday right here after the service, probably around 12 o'clock. And Mike Fleenor has created this amazing program of social activities for all of us to participate in. And he's got a couple things planned. Next Saturday is a coastal land trust hike in Waihee. Anybody done that hike? It's a beautiful hike. It's really quite simple, right? This one was pretty simple. Yeah, I mean, anybody can do this hike. It's a beautiful space, and it's pretty flat. Yeah. Yep, and it's along the water, and it's very, very, very beautiful. So contact Mike if you're interested in that. And he's also got a game night planned on our outside lanai for September 21st. That's 24th, also a Saturday, 4:30 to 6:30, and you can RSVP with Mike about that. And we've recently began our Thursday noon meditation. That started a couple of weeks ago, and we do it right here in our sanctuary. And I read the daily word, and then we spend 30 minutes in the silence. It's a beautiful opportunity to get centered and focused in the middle of the week. So please join us for that. And my Walk Your Talk is a summary of everything that I talked about today. So if you, I made copies back there. If you desire or were inspired and want to remember tomorrow what I talked about, this is a nice summary of everything. And also, next Sunday, my talk is titled, Activate Your Superpowers. You know, when we hear the word superpower, what do you think about? Superman, yes! And Wonder Woman, yes, we must be fair to everybody here. And we think of these classic characters from comics and movies and TV. And really, as long as humans have been telling stories, we've told stories about these often magical, and characters that have superpowers. So next week, we're going to talk about your superpowers, what they are, and how you can connect with them and use them to be the super powerful expression of spirit that you are. So that'll be happening right here next week at 10 o'clock. And I think that's just about all we have for today. Why don't we all stand? We're watching you at home too, seeing if you're standing, getting up off your couch. It's probably just about that time. So let's affirm and pray the prayer of protection together, and then we'll sing the peace song. So let's say the prayer of protection together. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us wherever we are. God is. God bless you, friend. Thank you for being here. Aloha to you watching us in Couchland. And we'll see you next week. Mahalo.
Where I live, there are rain.